Camden, sometimes things happen to us. This has a lot to do with what we've been talking about with problem solving. We have obstacles that come up, and sometimes they just end up being major disappointments.
Yeah.
For example, we lost the playoffs, right? Or we lost a job. Maybe your dog died.
Yeah.
That something uncontrollable happened. Maybe you had to have a friend break up with you, or maybe you actually went through a relationship breakup, and that all happened in the same week.
Yeah.
You know, that would really be something that would derail my progress towards my goals. And it has maybe nothing to do with my goals, but it's all things happening personally that are interfering now with my life. What are let's talk about slumps and what might cause a slump. I just gave some examples, but what does that feel like when you're in a slump?
Yeah, well, to be frank, I think looking at my life, a lot of slump is self-caused, not being accountable.
Yeah.
Like if I'm not doing what I'm saying I'm going to do, and it just kind of adds up, Yeah. That's something that I just kind of recognize. But yeah, I mean, slumps are sometimes they're just uncontrollable, and it's unfortunate because these things that happen to us, we want, those are things that we care about, and we want them to happen in our favor or in our team's favor or in our relationship's favor, whatever it is. But to get out of it, I think there's a truth that you just have to believe, even if you've never applied it. And the truth is, it's a whole lot easier to act your way into healthy living than to think your way into healthy living.
Oh, yeah.
And when you can physically do something, get outside, go on a run. For me, I have to go exert in some physical way. Like I have to go run. I have to go get a little sweat going in some way. And that always makes me feel a little bit better than the way that I woke up that morning or at the time of that unfortunate event happened.
I really love what you said about that, because it's something about exercise. It really gets you out of your head. It's something you're doing a physical activity that's pretty, tiring. You're exerting yourself and getting yourself out of your head. I think a lot of what our main enemy is between our ears, right? The toughest battleground is what's happening the 6 inches between your ears, right? And thinking can be some of our worst thinking can be our worst enemy in so many ways. And that's what can take an uncontrollable obstacle, like something happening in your life that was super negative. And then you dwell on it, right? And you think about how awful that was, or how I should have handled this differently. Oh, what if I did this? Would that have happened? The overthinking is what'll kill you. So I really love that quote. You can't think your way into healthy living. And so in your life, you exercise. What are some other things that you do?
Well, I mean, obviously depending upon the situation, but another one is I write out a long note or an email of the person that I'm mad at. I do. And before I send it to them, I delete it. Like I just go at it. I'm just like just get all of my emotions out, because I know if I don't take it out on this, then I'm going to take it out on someone else. There's so many times where I was doing the Southwestern Advantage internship program, and I would approach a family or a dad or a mom who was just going through a rough time. And I don't know what happened, but they took it out all on me for whatever reason. And there's a couple interpretations you could take of this. You could become offended and think, what did I ever do, right? Which is probably the most common way. Or you could change that whole narrative and think, I'd much rather have them blow up on me than their kids. And so that's kind of like how I want to encourage our audience. Like, listen, problems are going to happen, but this is an opportunity for you. This is the biggest break. This is an opportunity for you. It's a setback for a comeback. I remember one time I was working in a special needs, it's called Brain Balance. It's in Franklin. It was a special needs program, and it develops the left and right hemispheres of the brain for kids that have needs. And something happened. I forgot what. A mom complained about how I was working with their kid. And Miss Pam pulled me into her office, the next week, and said, listen, you can't something happened with this kid and the mom got upset, and if this happens again, we're going to have to let you go. And it's a natural tendency for us to go into this place of either victimizing ourselves or blaming something else.
Yeah.
But because of this program, I learned that, listen, this problem is going to give me an opportunity to enhance my development and how I perform here at work.
Wow.
And so that was my self-talk in that whole situation. So that's a whole nother thing, is like we have to intentionally reprogram the way that we view problems that are happening to us. You know, whether it's our team not making the playoffs, if it's a breakup, if it's unfortunate events that happen with our parents or siblings, like things are just going to happen. But if you have if you consciously put effort in making sure that you have a positive mindset, or you're choosing to believe that there's going to be some good that comes from this, then you're inevitably going to make that happen.
Yeah. Wow. That's really, really powerful. Just the fact that you were in that scenario, there would be so many things that I would want to say. It's like, wait, no, let me defend myself right now to your boss. You know, this is why I did what I did, or, you know, all of those things came up. And I'm sure you had those thoughts, but then immediately you're like, this is an opportunity. There's like 1% of the population that actually thinks that way when it comes to being personally attacked, it feels like.
Well, it's not natural for us. And it's a whole lot easier if we put the blame on someone else, or we give someone else the responsibility. But the reality is I'm the one that has full control, and I'm the one who's the best person to make the change that's in favor for me, not waiting on someone else to make the change in favor.
Right. So how it kind of ties into slumps too, and like we say before, it all is some things that we create for ourselves. Sometimes we create our own problems, but unintentionally, or it's out of our control. So we do feel really, really disappointed. We feel really bad. We might even lose motivation towards doing anything we want to do, or we set out to do a couple months ago. It's like, well, my dog died this week and I can't even find the
capacity to pursue this anymore.
Yeah. It's like, I loved my dog so much, or it could be a loved one who you lost, or a best friend, or, you know, really emotional stuff, like breaking up with your boyfriend or girlfriend could just be like earth shattering.
Yeah.
And how you pick yourself up, would you say it's a fast process, or it kind of depends?
Yeah, it just depends on what it is. I mean, there have been times where, I went through a breakup, and I feel like for a year I was through a fog. Like I just couldn't shake the fog. And it didn't matter how many times I ran. It didn't matter how many times I worked out. It didn't matter how many letters I wrote that I ripped up, you know, just like trying to find clarity in all this, you know? Yeah. But I think the truth, there is another truth, is that if you believe that everything that happens to you, some good will come from it, and let that be the anchor of your hope. Like, I know that there's going to be good from this. And after that year mark, I did realize, wow, I am thankful that this didn't happen and that this relationship ended. And then she's in a great relationship now, which is awesome. I'm happy for her. But the truth is, there has to be this this conscious programming into your subconscious mind that something good is going to come from this. And when you live in a place of hope, it's going to give you, it might be a year, you know, but the attitude when you lose will determine how long it will be until you win.
That's huge to remember.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about Taylor Swift. And I think everybody who follows any kind of pop culture would know about her beef with Kanye West. And she just recently said in her Time interview that she had a whole year of her life in 2016 or so, after the media pitted her as a liar, and she was canceled within an inch of her life, where she went into hiding. And she didn't trust anybody and really didn't do anything. She moved to a different country and just completely went. There's a whole Time interview about this thing that she went through, but it was it was just a really big slump for her.
Yeah.
But she came back, and now she's a billionaire. And Kanye West, at this point that we're talking, is not really relevant. So it's fascinating to me how people have these major losses and then these big wins and the big comebacks. So my attitude towards slumps too is I kind of, when something happens to me out of my control, it could be, like I said, losing a loved one. It could be any of those things. It's like, I can let this, first thought, I can let this really tank me, or I can bounce. I can just bounce back. But there's something to be said about doing that healing too. Because, I mean, when you said you broke up with your girlfriend, you were in a fog for a little while, and that's okay. Yeah. And I think some people might think, oh no, I have to immediately like be able to bounce back. And that's not necessarily what we're saying here. There's obviously processing to do with your emotions, but we can't let action stop because of it. And actually action in any capacity is going to make you feel better. Maybe it's not Ben and Jerry's ice cream and watching like 50 First Dates or something like that, but or like scrolling TikTok endlessly, or I don't know, spending way too much time on social media, or getting all your friends to talk about it and you keep venting about such person that you broke up with. That's not maybe the healthiest route, but there is working on yourself. Yeah. I know everybody says it, specifically with breakups. Yeah. Working on yourself, focusing on yourself, it's like easier said than done. Yeah. But little actions, little steps, small habits. You can even set a goal around something like this with action that you can feel proud of yourself. And even if you're feeling awful, you can still say, today, I'm going to go on a walk. Yeah. And I'm going to do that every day for a week. And I'm just going to process this. Yeah. That happened to me. Yeah. Yeah. And I think so much like we want answers for the problems that happen. Totally. You know, and we think that we think having answers will bring peace, but I don't think having the answer really does bring peace. You know, it's like sometimes even we know the answer to why this happened, it still has the hurt, you know? Yeah. So I think there's just some things to realize is that things are going to happen and you will respond. You will either choose to respond in a way that will benefit you, like this is a setback for a comeback mentality, right? Yeah. And if you don't choose that, you are choosing to become someone who's not a victim, but someone who's not choosing to be intentional. Yes. You know, like if you don't make that choice, then you will make the other choice. There's really not another place that you can be in. Totally. Totally. And we can all do something. That's something huge that I really love that you touched on. I remember there's one of my good friends, he did the Southwestern internship with me. His name's Travis, and I asked him to do this program with me. And I was going on my third summer with this, and this would have been his first. And he was engaged, and the girl broke it off with him. And he did the program, ended up doing it for 4 years. But for the first 2 years of the program, he didn't know why. And he never reached out to her. And there was a huge, like, he wasn't trying to reach out to her. She never reached out to him. Like, it was just cut clean. Wow. And it wasn't for another 2 years that he realized how to be thankful, the power of gratitude in a season where you have no certainty. Yeah. You know? No closure, no nothing. Nothing. And how going through that, and honestly, it was a great season for me to be a friend that could help him, even when I don't know the answers, but just be there with him to walk with him through that whole season. That was probably more of a blessing for me than it was even just to watch Travis, how he overcame adversity when he wasn't the one at fault, but he was the one that was blamed. Yeah, that's so powerful. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that story. Yeah, it really was good. It was, that was an inspiration for me to understand that problems are going to happen. And the way you respond is a louder shout to the world than at the end of the story, what the result is. Yes, Absolutely. I think that's been proven time and time again by people who are just top-notch leaders, really, really the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
Their problems and their obstacles just seem like bumps in the road compared to the things that they've accomplished, because that's their attitude towards it. That's how they made it so.
Mm-hmm.
Even though from their perspective, thinking back to Taylor's interview that I read with Time, we as an audience don't know that she was depressed for a whole year and had that major slump in her life.
Yeah.
A whole year of her life just in hiding. And to her, it actually seemed like, yeah, that was a big deal. But to us, it was like, oh, had no idea.
Right.
Like it wouldn't have even been.
Right.
And I'm sure there are many, many countless examples of people sharing their own perspective on their journey is so different than how anybody else would see it.
Yeah.
Which you have the opportunity when you're in a slump to realize that that's a season you're in. And it comes back to self-awareness too.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit actually about how it comes back to self-awareness?
Yeah. So self-awareness really is it's a skill that can be developed. Mm-hmm. This whole concept of really knowing yourself and how you respond to situations is self-awareness. You know, there was a time when problems came about, I remember when I was younger, whenever I would have a problem with my older brother, I would always go to mom and dad and like, you need to protect me from him. And I would try to create a victim scenario for them. They need to protect me from him. Like he was the bad one, as if I didn't do anything wrong. But then growing up, realizing that when problems came about, that I was the one who stood my ground and said, okay, I can resolve this by myself. And so you grow, and as you mature, you'll notice how you respond to certain situations. So what we're talking about now, when problems come, some people, they fight or flight, right? I mean, like that might be a natural reaction because they don't know how to stand firm and they don't know how to fight in a way that's maybe resolving the situation, but that can be learned. You know, so looking at how you respond, even losses on a wrestling match. I remember I was wrestling the number one guy in the state. He was a senior. I was a junior. I was a sophomore. And I beat this guy really bad in front of his dad, which was the head coach, and his girlfriend was in the mat. It was in attendance too. I didn't know this until we became wrestling partners in college, which is so funny. But anyway, so I ended up beating him. But I didn't beat him by the full length of the period. So what happened was he ended up punching me and he got DQ'd. So then I won by default. But watching how Jonathan Roberts responded when he lost to compare how he responded when he lost in college was completely different. You know, he learned how to handle the stress and the upset, all the emotions of losing when you know you should have won.
Yeah.
You know, all of that. So just living life is going to give you exposure, and having feedback from friends. You responded this in a poor way, or you responded this in a great way. So when he hit me, all the benches cleared and we all just ran into the middle. It was a big situation. Anyway, but so for me, on the video, you could see me storm off and go upstairs and just like exclude myself from everyone. And that's like how I used to handle stress, is like, I need to get away and process everything. Yeah. Where now, when someone's confronting me with an issue, I can process it much quicker to where I don't have to remove myself from the situation, you know? So it really just comes with time and observing people and asking those who watched you in a problem, give you feedback on how you performed with it. How did you handle the stress? How did you handle the criticism or the blame or even the praise? Did you take it in a haughty way, or did you take it with humility?
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. That's a really great summation of how just self-awareness and dealing with disappointment, it just all accumulates together. Because it's where you start, you know, you start with your programming. Yeah.
And once you know how you respond to certain situations. So if I have a problem with you and I approach you in a way that doesn't make you feel heard, that doesn't make you feel understood, and you learn how to process that, then when you approach someone that you might have a problem with, you're going to be much more gentle and aware because you wanted someone to approach you this way, you know? Yeah. So self-awareness is the beginning of emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence is self-awareness, but it's also the ability to recognize in other people's emotions. So if you're in a depressed state and I have to bring unfortunate news to you, but the way that I approach you will be totally different compared to if you're in a good state or if you're in a joyful state. So it's just you experiencing life and circumstances around you and understanding yourself. Well, you will eventually be able to approach people in the way that is appropriate.
So yeah, I love that you touched on self-awareness. And here in LEAD, we talk so much about emotional intelligence. Here in phase 1, we focus on the self-awareness aspect because leadership always starts with you.
Yeah.
But in LEAD phase 2 and 3, we dive way more into that interpersonal communication, being able to read a room, all of these different things that you need to have to be an effective leader for groups and many people. So I love that's where this is going. But really just to wrap up slumps and just being in a slump, we really said like these things are sometimes uncontrollable. Sometimes they're self-inflicted. You cause them unintentionally, but it's about how you take action to respond and build your confidence back in yourself to getting back on track. Even when you're unmotivated to do so, that's really the key. So thanks for having this conversation with me, Camden. And I think our viewers got a lot out of it.
Yeah, it was good.